Right, I've not made a video for quite some time, so yeah, I've moved house and I'm just sorting the garage out at the moment. It was absolutely crammed full right to the roof of stuff while I was moving, and I've just got it to a stage where it's not that bad. I got these metal shelving units from a transit van at the scrapyard, and they are really heavy duty, so I've put them in with some nice sleeved anchor bolts. They still need sorting, and I've bought my workbench from my old house. This is really strong, but it never had a proper top because it was just a bit of kitchen worktop and a bit of ply here, and it was made up of a few odd bits, so I've treated myself to some nice new thick ply, which I'll be screwing down to that. Have a nice lit bench area. As in my old garage I just had a single strip light in the middle, and it was really dingy, so I used to have to go and whenever I was working on my car I used to have to go around with a torch or a lamp, and now I've got two strip lights at this end and then a lowered one over the workbench, which is absolutely brilliant. And the other thing I have in here is a Vectrix chassis. I got this from the scrapyard. It had a wiring loom as well, and the motor from it is here, the hub motor and swing arm, and that's one of my other projects on the go, is an electric trike. I've got a fully working Vectrix here. I've stripped all the bodywork off it, so it's just the bare minimum you need to make it run at the moment. And I'm going to be making a chassis for a trike to bolt the rear end onto, which is handy having this spare chassis and motor, because I can mock it up while this one is still, working, and then transfer all the electrics across when that's done. I've got my bench in now, the bench top, all one piece, and then I've made up this shelf unit from just old bits of timber I had, some old ply from my old horse box, and that was some internal walls from the horse box as well. I'm just going to give it a lick of paint now. Right, that's the shelving all in primer, so I'll go over that when I get some other paint. And also I've added these strips at the back because my old garage stuff was just constantly falling down the back and it's a right pain, so that'll solve that. I've got the worktop rollered this afternoon, just waiting for that to dry now. And also today I went to the metal yard and got a big sheet of 6mm mild steel. This is about half of it. I cut it down out the back of my pickup, and I've given it an initial wire brushing. Here's what it looked like to begin with. So this is going to be the top of a really sturdy workbench that I can move around the garage, and I'll build the chassis on that for the reverse trike. I've been shopping for the rest of the bits I need for my table. So I've got this box section. I've got a 7-metre length which I chopped down, and then I got some offcuts as well. That was 30 quid, including all this box section as well. And the table, the top was 40 quid, but that's only about half of the 6mm steel there. So 70 quid for the bench. I just need to weld it up. That was going quite well. The initial, I did some small tacks and it was all staying nice and square, and then I did too much welding in one go and it just went out of square and I couldn't tap it back in place, so I just had to start again, grind it off. Well, that's all back together now. This time I clamped it down a bit, and I've also moved these legs in a bit because it was easier to get the angles straight from that end rather than over the top where they weren't cut the cleanest. Got a Fred Dibner DVD on. That's his face when he see my welding look. Right, I've welded up the frame now. Not completely. I've got a few bits here and there, and I might put some diagonals on all four corners there, but it's mostly there now. It took quite a while to do because of the amount of measuring and checking just to ensure everything was square and flat. It would have been quite a lot easier to build it on a solid workbench, but I didn't have one. I've got the worktop fitted now. Well, just put in place. It's not welded down. And I've just been going over the top with one of these sort of abrasive sponge discs. I found they're really good as long as you don't go over a sharp corner the wrong way, because then they just disintegrate in seconds. So if you look, this is what the surface is after going over it with a twisted knot brush in the angle grinder, and then this is what I've just done with the abrasive sponge disc or whatever. I don't know what they're called. I was originally going to leave these bits open so that I could get my welding clamp in there, but since I've now moved these back anyway, I'm going to have this big lip of 6mm, so I can just clamp on there. So I thought I'd treat myself and box up the ends, make them look nice. There's one that's been all finished off. My legs have arrived from eBay, so now I'm just making these sections to hold, a captive nut in the end of the legs. I don't have my drill press here to make a hole, so I've had to just notch these out, and then I'll weld them up, and then they will, you can't really see it, they'll fit nicely in the end, and then I'll weld it. I've welded a couple of nuts together, so it's just a bit more thread for the legs to be moving on, and this is the first one just tacked in now, so I can take this out. It's just to get it level, and then I'll just weld that up. That's all four of those captive nuts done now, so yeah, I can turn her over and get the legs on. Those legs are all sorted now. Works really nicely, and it takes a 15mm spanner to adjust it in a couple of seconds. I took the bench away earlier today to clean the top up because it was filling this little single garage with really fine dust, and it was taking hours to settle. So I did it outside on the back of the truck, and it's come up quite nice. I put a coating of oil on it to stop it getting any worse. And now I'm just about to weld it in place. The bench is all finished now. It's nice and strong. Gave it a coat of some just gloss paint, some signal red. So yeah, it's easy to adjustable. Way stronger than it needs to be. I'll just have to every now and then go over the top with some like wire wool and a bit of oil just to keep the shine on.